Okay, so let me give you the access.
And then just the breakout groups will automatically be dumped into them.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay, so here's the link to the board for everyone. Find your team location. Just to give you an idea, if we were doing it in the classroom, we would be using 4 walls. And so each team would get a wall. And so all we're doing is just sending you off to 4 corners of the board.
Do we just sign in as a guest into
Yes.
the Miro?
Just like you did the other day.
Okay.
It's all the same. So you just sign in as a guest. Just like you did on Monday. And that was the intent on Monday, is just to give you an idea how to do it. Going forward, by the way, so you will have access to this board going forward. Between classes, between sessions, you can access the board and add things in there and adjust things. Please don't go on anyone else's board, just your own board, because you will have access to all the different boards. Again, so we will have probably probably today, give you some homework that if you guys want to go in and add between now and Tuesday next week, you're more than welcome to do that. But that link that is on here is the link that you're going to be using going forward. All right, you guys ready?
Hey, Jess, I need permission to get in.
Yeah, I got the same message. You don't have permissions to view this board.
Yep. We got the same thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's because I forgot to turn on the... Go ahead. Try it. Guys have access?
Yep, that worked.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot to hit the switch that says on. All right. You guys ready?
I haven't gotten the link yet. Yes. Oh, never mind.
Okay. Okay, so again, first question. Last question. Does everybody have the link?
Got it.
Are you in?
We're in.
Yep.
No,
All right, here we go.
It says send me a code.
What's
on my
that?
Email. It says it's sending me a code on my email to get
It
in.
wants to send a code to the email, but there's no code, there's no email.
All you need to do is just click on the
You don't have to enter in your email or a password?
no. If you just click on it, it should take you directly into the board.
Hey, Jess, it made me sign up.
You don't need to sign up. All you need to do is just click on it. So did you sign up?
Yeah.
Okay. The only difference, here's the difference. If you sign up, then your name appears on the board. If you just click on it and go in, then it's just you're in there as a guest. And
Yeah, so all the boards are pink and purple. Are you going to remove all that so we can actually see the charters?
What do you mean? They're purple. Everyone should be able to see the charter. Everyone should be able to see the charter, or the brief.
Yep.
Everybody able to see that on your
Yeah.
team? Okay. Everything else is blacked out, yes. Okay. So everybody's in now?
Yes.
All right, so here we go. I'm going to send you off. Krista, are you in? Okay, everybody's in.
Whoever, we'll have Rolando be the scribe. All right. So I already put the project name on there. I can see that. So there's scope. So project scope, scribe? Yeah. You know how to pull a tab over? Okay, hold on, I'll pull the sticky over. Or we can copy the one above it and duplicate it and move it down. I can't see the one you posted. You can't see it? No. Yeah, you could just duplicate it, bring it down. Sound good right there? Yeah. Rolando's computer froze. Okay, I'll do the scribe. Or I can do the scribe. It don't matter. I can type it in. Oh, you're the project manager. Okay. Can't do both. All right, I'm trying to find out the scope. Basically, it was to get the hulls and stuff out of the product, right? Project scope. Is that the objective for the scope? I think probably the scope is to replace old and worn huskers and aspirators.
There you go. Well, it's Jess. I'm listening in on in your room.
Yeah, and they were, they went, because we had Bueller look at them and stuff, and our huskers and stuff were still in good condition, but our showing efficiency wasn't good. We're getting a lot of hulls going into our finished product. But yeah, we could put worn equipment. That's fine. Go ahead and tap that in. What about well, you want to change it to? No, that's upgrade? Fine. How about upgrade? Yeah, that sounds good.
Team 3 board, right? Okay. So we're supposed to start there with the project name first. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we're supposed to just do it with sticky notes?
Yes.
Okay. We probably ought to figure out who's going to be scribe then.
Looks like Gerald or JJ.
I'll do it. I'll do my best.
Okay. All right. So everybody's in agreement, that project?
Which one? The parking lot?
Either the parking lot or the well.
I don't know anything about wells, but either works.
Hey, Jess, can we get a little clarification?
Sure.
So we're deciding on the project here, and so we had a couple of different options come up, and we're kind of deciding which one would be best suited for the time frame that we were talking about. Could be feasibly done in 9 months. We have a couple. We had one that was just a parking lot expansion, and that's a real project I do have. I don't think it would take 9 months. It's probably more of like a 4 month or a 3 month.
That's fine too. It just can't be longer than 9 months.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because everything applies. I know somebody had asked a question, whether this applies to, short projects, large. All the steps apply to, it doesn't matter the length of the project or the complexity. So I just want to make sure that we create a project plan for something that could be done in less than 9 months, because if you get beyond that, there's a bunch of other things we need to consider. But
yeah. Okay.
That's fine. So you can just pick, if you can get it done in 4 months, that's fine. You're just not going to use the entire board, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just less involved than some of the other projects that we had come up with that were, I mean, multi-million dollar, and you got to have a lot more information to make the good decisions on it.
But
So-
again, you can run it through this and at least give you an idea of what it would take, the steps you would go through to plan it.
Yeah, I think that this would probably be a good one. So if nobody has any objections to that, I think we should do the parking lot.
No expansion.
Yeah.
Okay, that works.
Okay, and so let me just give you a little bit of a background on what we've got here. We've got a section of parking lot that we've expanded. They did a plant expansion 2 years ago, and when they did that, they had to expand the fence line in order to maintain a security fence for Department of Homeland Security. And with that, they pushed parking lot and an area that used to just be a prune field. And so they had to expand the fencing and make security fence. And then they also had to put in a exit gate for the parking lot, which is automated. And when they did that, they didn't actually finish the parking lot. They just did the subgrading, put up the fences, and that was it. So we have underground electrical we've got to do. There's some water, there's power for the electric gate, automation for the electric gate, sensors, and then a little bit of landscaping as well as asphalt, curbing, striping.
Perfect.
So I think it'll be a good project.
Yep. So in the scope, remember that the scope basically states, here's the boundaries, right? So it's the parking lot, what's the physical layout, I mean, that range and all. What is included, what's not included, which you just talked about, the electrical, the water, right, and all those pieces, that goes in number 6 in the statement of work.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, good. So I guess we can go ahead and put that in the scope. So total project scope, we want to include underground electrical and utilities, I guess.
So what you want to do at scope is just give a brief description of what the scope of work is. The scope of work is putting in a parking lot that is X number of feet in size, height, whatever it is. What is included is you add that to number 6, the statement of work. So the statement of work has utilities, has water, has fence, automation, whatever that may be, what is included, and then identify what things are not included that people may think should be included.
Okay. So if you want to put in there the size of the unit or the project is roughly 6,000 square foot parking lot expansion.
There you go. And that's all you really
exit gate.
Yep. That's all you really need to say for at a high level what the scope is. Down where it says statement of work, the statement of work is now saying, here's the work we're going to perform. We're going to perform electrical work. We're going to perform plumbing, piping, automation, right? Whatever it is that you're going to do, here's what's included. And it's just a list of what is included. But also be clear, let's take the automation, right? What kind of automation are you thinking right now, right? And so with the surveillance, right, is it whatever that is, so you say, here's what's included, here's what's not included, because when you say automation, people may have a different understanding what that automation may look like.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the same thing when you say electrical, you can say it does, it could be electrical work, both there's, so you need 120 volts for the lighting. You're going to have lighting in the parking lot, I presume?
No, actually the parking lot's lit from the building.
Okay, so there's a perfect example of what is not included.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can do electrical for the fence, the automated gate, essentially.
And that's what you say. Electrical is for the automated gate. No lighting will be included in this, so therefore there's no electrical work happening on the parking lot itself. And so again, this is where you start listing what is and what isn't included. So when it gets reported out, people understand what's included. Otherwise, like my first assumption was, well, okay, you're putting lights in, you're putting electrical, you must have lights out there.
Mhm.
And then if I don't see lights out there and we're screaming, why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And just keep going, keep filling it in. I'm going to be
Okay.
bouncing in and out.
Okay, perfect.
Most out of it
Right.
to help
Yeah.
lead the team.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
Let's do that. Okay.
It's like Jess is
A name idea.
Jess is
spying on our
hovering.
board.
He is. So Luke, do you have a project name already?
No. Yeah, we don't.
Okay.
I'm actually listening in to all of you.
No.
Sweet.
So
You
we
didn't see
picked-
us flip a coin, did you?
No, I didn't see that.
We did. We're
And so Luke lost?
Luke won. Luke won. So Luke's PM, we're going to do his project. It's really an onboarding add-on to his existing software for all the field guys who are using the software. So Luke, what do you let's work on a name here. What do you have there, Jamie? Onboarding development?
Yeah.
Yeah, just we could do, I don't know. I'm bad at figuring out names. Probably doesn't really matter, right?
Like, should we have a qualifier in there for it's for customer onboarding, right?
Yeah,
like
or
employee
like
onboarding.
or like employee onboarding project. Or, sure, employee onboarding is fine. I think that makes sense.
Is it your employees?
It's our it's our customers' employees basically. So they're our customers too, just even though they're the employees of the customers using the product. But they're different than our admins that run the ClockShark accounts for these companies, right? These are just the field users. So employee onboarding, I think, just makes sense. It would make sense to anyone in my company if we called it that. So.
Okay. So just to clarify what you do, Luke, you guys built an app where a business can purchase your app and use your app to clock in and clock out hourly employees. That's
correct.
That's roughly okay.
Yep, and the employees. Yeah, we can get into it, but the employees clocking in and out themselves using their phones. Yeah, the app on their mobile devices.
And the problem you're trying to solve is the fact that the onboarding that all of the employees now have, instead of writing a paper time card or punch clock, they now have to use this app that is being told that they have to use it by the company.
Mm-hmm.
And your onboarding is just not up to speed with that massive distribution.
Yep, it's not a very good place, exactly.
Okay.
Does it need to be reflected in the project name that the app to offer this?
Yeah.
I can be the scribe.
Oh, the boss just showed up. Watch out.
Oh.
Go ahead.
All right, I'll start scribing.
Jess, you're muted.
My question is, why is this team so far behind everyone else?
Yeah, I was just looking at everybody else's. They already have half of their
80% planning, 20% execution.
Yeah,
We're executing
we're
the project
doing,
on a
We have a
We're
CFO
following
on the
the
team.
rule of planning, which is rule 1 is plan everything. Rule 2 is refer to rule 1.
Our first project, Jess, on deck was an ERP implementation. So you can probably see where the conversation went.
Yeah, that's probably not done in 9 months.
Right. So we pared it down to a smaller subset of what they need within
Okay.
that. So Chewy,
What are we
you're
gonna call it?
Chewy, you're the scribe, so you're typing in project name.
Yeah.
What do you want to call it, Chewy?
I'm gonna put ERP plan to produce. And does that sound fair?
Yeah, I was just thinking we would add the shipping piece to it as well. Fulfillment. Why don't you call it ERP plan to fulfill?
Plan to fulfill. Okay. And then project scope. Oh.
So project scope is talking about your boundaries. So some description of this where the start of this looks like and where the endpoint looks like.
So the start would look like once the software is selected, and the endpoint would look like go live, ERP go live.
Well, that sounds like the whole implementation.
Right.
That's a bit much. That's a bit much. Have you defined the plan for, let's say, let me give you an example. What you may want to look at is mapping, if you haven't done any selection, is the whole defining the requirements to the point of selection.
Yeah, we talked about that, Jess, and I think
We've already selected.
Already
Made-
selected.
Made the assumption that we already selected.
Okay, all right.
We're past that now. We were just going to something that would help us with a real world thing we're working on right now.
Brad, you mentioned paring this down to the inventory flow of incoming materials through the system and then out to receipt, right?
Right.
So your project scope has to revolve around that inventory piece.
Yes. So
when I say project scope it would be, the selection would already have been done. So the scope starts with selected software being implemented. So the first step would be, you know,
training,
you know, confirm configuration to go live.
Say that again, Brad?
configuration.
From configuration to go live.
Yeah, so I think I'm on a different page here. When we're talking inventory, I'm thinking the inventory module within ERP and what that does for you around tracking materials through operations. That's one piece. But if you're talking from go live all the way through receipts, that's the entire operation. That's 65% of your business.
Oh yeah, no, when I said go live, I meant go live of the system. I just meant the project scope. I was being a little more big picture with the project scope. Are we talking about project scope being the actual specific things that happen within the ERP or within the project?
Well, the starter would be probably, my guess is the inventory module's up and running. And then what you do in between to make sure that where your endpoint is for inventory.
So Brad, think of it this way. I understand where you're going, and having lived through multiple implementations of ERP systems and having both past life and with clients and facilitating some of this is in the 9 months, right? Because the limitation for the planning piece, just to give you the experience to go through it, pick something that could be done in 9 months. If you pick a module, by the way, what are you looking at? Novice?
In terms of the software?
Yeah.
NetSuite's one of them.
Oh, okay.
NetSuite, Sage, and a product called BC Foods.
Okay. I'm not familiar with BT Food, but I'm familiar with the others. So again, why don't you just pick a module of it? Because the thing is, even that inventory module is connected to the financials anyway, but at least look at what are the things you need to do in order to get the inventory module what are the tasks you need to do related to getting the inventory module ready, one, configured, and two, ready for going live.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at in terms of the scope.
Okay, all right.
So it's more the actual process of implementing the software versus using it. So
Right.
it's, you know, from starting point of having the software spun up and sitting on the server or in the cloud, however we locate it, then to having the consultants the VAR who would come in and help us implement it, to train people on the system, to explain how it's configured, to walk through the configuration, to get test data and a test database set up, going through training and piloting, and then trying to make sure we've gone through all the types of transactions we could, and pre-go live, final testing, and go live and create the production database and go live.
Okay. $5, I like that. If only that were true about ERP systems.
So we need to get a better scope definition here, in my opinion.
Yep.
Okay, so it's, I mean, we're talking only about the inventory module, right?
Right, we're talking about implementing the system, so
Just implementing the inventory module.
right, it's just the inventory module for the system.
So implement inventory module would be what I would say, right?
And it's very, yep.
What do we want? What do we want? I mean,
Scope, yep.
the scope of work or whatever. I mean, the what, the how, the when, the how much, and who is that? That's what we're doing here, right? The whole thing.
You're doing, yes. So you're doing, yeah, at a high level, you're saying you're implementing the, I mean, you could say in this case is you're only, right now the project is to define the plan for implementing the inventory module from the point it is installed to the point it's ready to launch. And that basically says all the steps. When you get down to number 6, where it says what is included, what is not included, then you can start defining, you know, what pieces are going to be included in this and what pieces are not. So there are some financial pieces that will need to be included, right? For the cost of the material, the carrying costs, if you do have any of that for carrying inventory. But that's where you would define, here's what is included in this and here's what's not included. Because again, from an ERP perspective, there are pieces in the financial modules that have to be done in order to go do the inventory, but you're only focusing on the inventory piece. Does that make sense? And you're also not going to cover the logistics side on the other side. And if some of that inventory gets consumed in your manufacturing process, that's outside of the scope of work here. And that's what would be included in number 6.
Okay.
Because that helps then narrow down what is it that you're really planning for here.
Okay. Well, not to complicate it, but the ERP, the project name doesn't make sense to me then. This is not the plan to fulfill. This is just
call it inventory tracking.
Yeah.
Okay. And that makes
Inventory what?
Inventory flows.
That makes it even clearer. Okay, I think everyone's going to need more time, space, which is okay.
Don't you want to put ERP in front of this, Chewy?
Yeah.
So you guys done?
We're working, we got 4 assumptions so far.
Okay.
I think that's good right there.
That's fine. You guys are going to be given more time. I think everyone looks like they're going to need a little more time.
Okay.
We're close.
Yeah, you guys are close. Be a little more specific on your assumptions. For example, the budget. What does that mean? That the budget that you put down is going to be given to you? Is going to be given to you, or is it that the budget is underestimated or overestimated? I mean, whatever. What's the risk? What's the specific assumption you're making?
What would be we went over, right?
Yeah, that our costs are going to stay within our budget.
Okay, write that in there. That you're going to be, the assumption is that you're going to be under that number from a budget. And the same thing with skill of labor. I'm presuming that is the assumptions being made is that you're going to have the right skills available when you need them. Right? Or whatever that is, but be a little more specific on the assumptions. And COVID, what is that? That you don't have to deal with the COVID restrictions?
Well, we've run into
people getting sick,
materials not showing up on time, all these things because of COVID. We've already actually had happen to us.
Yeah, so. Exactly. So list those items out, that those are the assumptions that you are expecting those delays, that you are or that you're not in the plan, that you're not expecting those delays.
Yeah, because we've already experienced a 3-month shipment delay on equipment because of COVID.
So that's extremely important that it's very specific that you are planning for, your plan is going to include a 3-month delay in there for equipment, or your plan is not going to include it. So that becomes a high risk, that the likelihood of that happening is still high right now, right? So we'll go from, that's an assumption, and then when we go to the risk table is, that's a high risk that if we're assuming on-time delivery of the equipment, that's a high risk based on what's happening today.
Yep.
Does that make sense? And you guys already have that experience. So yeah, break those down further. Like I said, that's why everyone's going to get some more time. Break those down further. So then on the other side as a risk, you start then saying my number one risk is what happened last time. I had a supplier that was 3 months late. So I'm going to put that as the number one risk. And
okay.
You can start listing the others.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
What's that? Well, how'd you do that?
What? Everyone should come back. Do we have everyone back?
Did we
Looks like
lose
it.
anybody?
Okay.
We're here.
How many of you need more time to complete everything?
We weren't sure on the parking lot,
What do you mean you weren't sure on the parking lot?
filling that out.
Okay, so yeah, if you need time to, yeah.
Yeah, we could use a couple minutes. We're close, but we could use a couple to tighten it up.
Okay, I see team 1 and team 2 need some time. Team 3 is pretty darn close, and why are they still working? They should be back. Okay, and team 4 is pretty close. All right, if you need some more time, I'll give you another 20 minutes to finish off. And then wherever you're at that point, we'll move on. You'll still get a chance to come back because you're going to get plenty of opportunities to come back because as we go through every step, planning step, the intent is that you modify your plan, your brief. You get, as you learn more things and you define your plan better, you refine that, and then you use that as part of your report out to the sponsor or to the customer. All
Okay,
right.
then we can wait on the parking lot then because we weren't sure what to add on in there.
Well, you can add anything on the parking lot, anything that you guys discussed. So let's jump back in the rooms, and then I'll come over and visit with you guys, and then we can work that out.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So I'm gonna
All
give you guys 20 minutes. All right. All right, here we go. Okay, you guys are working on the
parking lot. I wasn't sure what to add in there.
well, is there anything you guys want to add to the parking lot that you think that should be added? I mean, basically what goes in the parking lot are those things that you don't have details on right now that you need when you report out saying, well, we need to do a little more research. We need to define something a little bit better. So anything like that, for example, one of the items that's high risk for you is mill schedule not able to shut down for allocated time. Well, that may not be an open thing. Costs remain under budget. Material arrival. So let's take number 3, material arrival. Maybe you need, that's an open item that you still need to follow up or constantly follow up is with the supplier to see,
okay,
you're gonna, whatever goes in the parking lot, these are things you need to do, which aren't necessarily direct steps, but if you haven't sat down with the supplier, gotten a commitment, or checked to see where the equipment, where are they on equipment? Are they having any problems? You list all those things in the parking lot.
I see. So it's more like a follow-up
Yep.
questions you need to double
Yep.
check on.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, because you may not have all the necessary answers. You put this up here, but you don't have all the necessary answers. That's an open item. You still need to go follow up. And especially right now, you're going to have to do constant follow up.
Yes.
Just
Okay.
to make sure it's based on experience. So those are the type of things that go in the parking lot. If you need to define words, which I think you guys are pretty clear on what you're doing, then you create a data dictionary.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds. All right. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, so you got 20 minutes, well, less than that, but 17 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, we don't need that much time.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Maybe once Kevin comes back, he can clarify that.
So how are you guys doing?
We're doing good.
We're doing well.
Do me a favor on your risk side of the brief. Put a number on there. What's your number one risk? What's your number two, number three? Right now it could be just gut feel based on, right? Just put numbers on it. That way we see what
Okay.
your number one priority to look at, number two, number three, number four.
Okay. I would say maybe the weather could be a pretty big
Yeah,
factor.
but then here's the thing with risk. What the focus of the team should be on those things that you can control. You can't control the weather. It's a high risk, I would grant, but you won't be able to come up with any, well, you might come up with ways to mitigate the impact, but you're not going to control the weather.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, by the way, anytime it comes to construction, that's always high risk, but it's also the one that can't be controlled. But you can basically think about that when you're planning and try to mitigate the impact of the weather. And so, again, when we get into the work breakdown structure, and then especially when we get into the sequence of work, that's where you can start influencing, especially with the weather, that maybe you can do some overlapping stuff and things that you may or may not be able to. But I'm saying that's usually one of the areas they look at. Yeah, you guys are pretty much there. Let's see what you have on your brief. When you guys say overtime for number 6, who are you referring to? Are you guys doing the work, or are you hiring a contractor to come in and do the work?
Contractor.
Okay, so when you guys talk about overtime, who are you referring to?
Well, maybe we should change overtime to any change orders, say we have to have any additions, or adjustments to the contract. We're not including none of that.
Okay, you can certainly do that. Absolutely. So,
Did you want me to change that one then? What do you guys?
I think so, because we're contracting it out. So yes, like Jess said, overtime technically doesn't directly apply. I think if anything, we're not accounting for any change orders or additions or adjustments.
yeah, so you're looking to implement a firm fixed contract.
Yes.
And if they have to go overtime, that's their problem, not yours.
Right.
Okay.
So we should just take that one out then.
Yeah. Take it out, or instead of overtime, just say change orders, additions, or adjustments not included.
The JJ is change, not charge. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
There we go. Pretty slow typer with these big old hands.
call it fat fingers anytime I.
Yeah, I do a lot of fat fingering. I mean, my hand is.
Let's do labor. Less gendered.
Yes. I'm sorry. I just came from construction, and that is the word. They just say manpower all day.
People power.
Yep, people power. So, question for the team: what's the objective? What does success look like for this project?
The customer has a better experience.
Better experience. Is there a way to measure that?
Surveys, feedback, longevity, like they continue, maybe you could pick length of time and measure how long the average client stays with the company before implementing versus after, because they measure that it's a monthly subscription and they can quit at any time. And they are using this tool to measure satisfaction.
Okay, do we have is a survey or feedback part of the scope of work?
So it's not yet, right? That would be like version 2 of the project.
Okay.
Or a second project afterward, after this initial one.
Okay.
Are there like website metrics you could collect and analyze, like so before and after, in terms of like if there's key tasks you want people to do at the end of onboarding, how long does it take them to do that?
So we have well, the main one that we track right now is called activation, and so that's when somebody gets fully logged into the mobile app and actually starts recording time. We consider that an activation. So that's one way we can measure it. Another way we can measure it is number of support tickets, essentially, or support issues.
Yeah.
Since that's why this project came up. A lot of the support time ends up helping administrators and employees use the app correctly and properly once they get it on their phone. So the theory, the objective is to reduce the support time as well. Or the theory is that it'll cause reduced support issues once the onboarding process is in place.
Okay. So that would be great. I think that'd be great to add to the scope, correct? At the very end, we can say the objective is to do what Luke said and lower the amount of support tickets.
Do you guys track the number of clicks on like a mobile platform?
So we don't on mobile right at the moment. Something I want, but it's not high on the priority list.
Gotcha.
So a couple comments. Number one, the team is the current team. So all of you that I see on the screen should be listed there. So you are the team. I understand that the folks you're going to be bringing in to do the work are going to be engineering materials. But right now, assume that your team, and what you can do, Luke, is assign one of those, your current team members that you have, assign them to ensure that engineering gets done and marketing takes care of their thing, customer service does that thing. What's success? Is that a function?
Yeah, it's
that's what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, it's our fancy customer success department. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So so make somebody responsible for those functions. Someone on the team needs to be responsible to work with those groups to make sure that whatever work in that function gets done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the other thing, another one, because at the end, I didn't tell you guys, but I am going to be your sponsor. So you guys are going to be reporting to me. So I will do the tearing apart of all the stuff, or I will be doing all the praising, one or the other. So I'm giving you a heads up. So number one, the budget. What does that mean? What is the assumption with the budget? That the budget is a realistic budget, that the budget is over an estimate? What is it? And then what is the risk associated with the budget? When I see budget, it doesn't really tell me much. Same thing with the timeline. That the time, what's the assumption did you make? You made the assumption. Maybe the timeline is not the assumption. The assumption is that you're going to have all the resources needed to achieve that date. Because I suspect you just picked a date out there. But again, what is the assumption that the timeline's an assumption, but what specifically? Be specific. Same thing with the budget. Be specific. And then you have pulling resources from labor. So over here on the risk side, for example, if it was budget, is if the budget, for example, the budget is unapproved, so that's a risk. So on the other side, the risk is that we have a budget that is unapproved. And so if we had to come up with a mitigation plan, is how do we mitigate that? What would be the actions to mitigate that? If the timeline, the timeline is a risk because we don't have confirmation or affirmation from the different departments that they are going to have resources available, that's the assumption. Right now, the assumption is that they're going to have resources available. On the risk side is they're not going to have available. How are you going to mitigate that risk, right? Which is sitting down with department heads and ensuring they have resources or looking at a workload calendar, whatever the mitigation is. Same thing, I'm pulling resources from other projects. So the assumption is, I'm assuming that your assumption is that resources are going to be available. The risk is that you won't be able to pull resources from other projects to work on this. Then we're going to have to talk about how are you going to mitigate that risk. And so that's why we say assumptions are always the first risk in any project, because that's where we get in trouble. We make assumptions. And if we don't identify them as risk and then come up with ways to mitigate them, they're probably going to happen, right? And so, and it's a high percentage it's going to happen. So that's where you start. I mean, I love PMI's calculations, and they always do weight factors and they do all this stuff. But from a practical perspective, yeah, big projects, you can do that because there's some, unforeseen, you got to use statistics and so on, and things may or may not happen into the future. When you're talking, 3 to 5 to 6 to 10 years out. But shorter projects, really your assumptions are your biggest risk.
Okay.
Also makes sense.
Okay. So again, this is just this is the first step. As you're going to go through this, you're going to get better at it. But you really, the key thing is listing the assumptions. What assumptions are we making?
In more detail.
Yeah, in more detail. And then the definition, right? Again, if I'm your sponsor and I see the word budget, my interpretation of budget could be completely different than yours. You may be looking at hours. I may be looking at dollars. And why that's so important is when you especially start looking at what resources you need, right? In my mind, if I'm looking at dollars, that may not equate to the same hours necessary to get the work done. So be a little clearer on budget, and specifically are we talking dollars or talking hours? Personally, for this type of work, I would be focused on hours. The dollars will come once you define the resources.
Yeah, that's what we were trying to do in the first place. I was doing some generic math calculations based on the engineering team and how much they make and how many hours they would spend, and then
right. So that's why I say at this stage, for the type of work that you do,
yeah,
I would be more focused on here are the budgeted hours that I think we need. The dollars will come once you do the work breakdown structure and you start assigning the resources, because again, engineers typically have a higher dollar number associated with them. Support staff usually has a lower number, right? So the dollars are going to be, right? But something like this is, what are the hours that we need? And then we can assign the dollars. Now, some projects, it's the dollars, and then you go figure out whether or not you are going to be able to live with that budget.
Which resources can pull those numbers. Yeah, makes sense.
Right. All right. It's almost time to go back. I got to make one more stop.
You muted, Jess.
How's it going?
We're good. We're going through assumptions and risk and having some good discussion around this.
Good. What I would ask on the risk side is to go ahead and put in priority sequence, and write number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, that can change later on, but this is based on where you're at.
Our scribe is back.
I'm back.
Okay, well, you got 18 seconds.
Oh, what are we doing?
We're changing everything, Chili.
You traded me?
We rewrote it all. Yeah.
We're setting a priority to the risk. So what's risk?
All right, everybody's coming back.
Hey, Jess, the timer doesn't work on my screen. I still had 20 minutes left.
Really?
Yeah.
It must have frozen because I shut it off.
I was moving around.
Oh, it reset. That's what it did.
I mean, it never counted down ever.
It never did?
Both sessions.
Really? Interesting. Okay.
I'm just setting up our excuses.
We have an anomaly.
That's interesting because it was counting down, and it actually has a little bell at the end. Anybody hear the bell?
My teammates could see it counting down, but I couldn't.
Yeah, mine counted down twice as fast. I think I made up for it.
Oh, you made up for it. And that was because you were popping in and popping out.
Busted.
Okay, do we have everybody back? All right, what I'm going to do is this. I am going to share the screen. So each team, you can share your screen. And if you don't know how to do it, I can do it for you. But we'll start with actually team 4 to do. Wow, you know what? Actually, stop right there. I need to give you guys a break before we get started. So it's 10:34. Everybody back at 10:45, and then we'll get started with the report outs. All right. So everybody take a quick break.